The author of The Golden Age is Tamima Anam, who was born in Dhaka and grew up in Paris, Bangkok, and New York. The Golden Age is one of the Bengal trilogy novel, A Golden Age, A Good Muslim, and The Bows of Grace, that chronicles the three generations of the Hake family. The Golden Age is based on the story of the independence of Bangladesh war and how it was lived and seen through the eyes of the Hake family. The independence of Bangladesh was gained through a 9-month guerrilla war against the Pakistan army, which resulted in the death of about 3 million people, known as the Bangladesh Genocide. The historical context in this kind of novel is quite important because it is the way the story, character, and plot mentioned would have a meaning, making the story more complex and interesting. And by analyzing its event, the context can really help to understand the behavior and motivation of each character, giving a meaning to each detail. The book is based on the culture of Bangladesh, where people wear light clothes in big dresses and covering their hair, but mostly baggy clothes. Also, it describes different kind of food that they would eat. A big part of it is Rihanna mentions that she would do by herself using only her garden. And finally, the decorations of their homes that can really relate to the Bangladeshi style. In the novel, although the war is the main issue, the plot is developed in a domestic environment, like Rihanna house, Mrs. Chaudhuri house, and Maya room in Calcutta. The first word of the book is, "Dear husband, I lost our children today." It invites the reader into a new setting that will break from the main narrative. So it means that the domestic spaces are mainly defined as familiar places where everyone feels safe. Shona, which is the house built by efforts and stolen yearly from Rihanna, seems to be a promised place for reconciliation, appearing as a peaceful ground. The neighborhood is characterized because of the relationship between Hindu and Muslim neighbors. The story begins with making people feel conscious about the main character, Rihanna, who has lost her husband and because of money issues, her children too. This is a global issue that has been happening over the years. The story takes place in Bangladesh, where the war is only starting to put every character in danger. But the main focus is on Rihanna, the power of resisting, the power of letting go, the power of defending what's yours, and the power of managing yourself. Every experience made her stronger, having her kids again, gaining a new love, losing her friends, her home. It is a deep story told from the perspective of the Hake family. Rihanna is shown as a serious woman who would do anything for her children. She was supportive, but also someone who didn't have a lot of patience, but still she wouldn't complain about it and stand by them. At first, Rihanna starts writing a letter for her dead husband. In my masterpiece, I decided to include it as an opening in order for people to understand how much in pain she was. Her mental health was not right, her clothes were messy, and she didn't have anything. By the end of the masterpiece, I decided to include the scene, she writing a letter to her dead husband, finally opening, finally telling him everything, and so then she will let go all those trapped feelings and thought that were eating her alive. So she started with "Dear husband," and she knew everything was gonna be alright. This time her clothes were neat and white in order to express serenity, and see how the plot of the story was twisted. She, at the end of the war, recovered the things she needed despite everything she had lost. The narrative also claimed for justice. It is well known how many Islamic, Hindu, Muslim, etc. women do not get the justice they deserve. In the Golden Age, women were erased. The word like rape and murder are used to describe everything that the soldiers did to the women. Genocide rape is hinted in a way to cover other forms of atrocities. So Maya's best friend, Charmaine, who was first introduced as a famous on campus for her political posters, nonetheless, the night of Operation Searchlight, she goes missing and disappears, and everything that is known is that she was raped, she was caught cultivated, and she was murdered. Because of this, Rihanna insisted that Charmaine should be known as one of the victims of the worst crime, adding to acknowledge what had happened during the time of the wartime, as so to remember to obtain justice. To conclude, each character of the novel lives a different moral, because it is the way each of them experienced the war in a different way, also their feelings and thoughts. But from the main character, she went all in acceptance. She didn't want to let go the past. She didn't want to forget what she did, how she did it, and how she achieved many things. So she carried those thoughts throughout the whole story. But then she started to understand how important it was to let it go, starting with her son and daughter that wanted to do something productive for the people that was in danger. And so she knows later how it is to let go, to accept what fate puts in your way, and move on in order to do better and be a better you. And so her mental health, as it was mentioned, changed. And after this catastrophe, she got what she needed. And so Rihanna became a collector of many partial stories, someone that inspires others to tell what they've been through, everything that they have feel. In connection with the point before mentioned, in the same way as Maya became the voice of her generation, a secondary character like Sylvie is an invitation to look back on the crimes of radical Islam in a young religion and have a character against the others' thoughts, like standing for what they decide to believe. In this case, Sylvie was against what they believe in Bangladesh. And so it revealed the role of the women in the making of nation and identity. Thank you.